There was a video posted a few days ago at Richard Dawkins' website. This would be the Richard Dawkins Foundation for Reason and Science. The video was posted by Seth Andrews, the Thinking Atheist, and it's entitled Intelligent Design.
Greetings and welcome there, people of YouTube. Essence of Thought here, making another response video. This time I am responding to a video on the channel Reasons to Believe. As has already been noted, this video is a response by Mr. Rayner to the Thinking Atheist video in Intelligent Design. Now, as the original video had not been linked by the Reason to Believe for whatever reason, you will be able to find the links to both videos in the description below. With that, I think it's good to begin.
And in this video, Andrews responds to a common argument made by Christians for God's existence, namely that when we look at nature, we see these elegant, wonderful, beautiful designs that people take as evidence for the work of a creator. But what Andrews does in this video is masterfully juxtaposes beautiful imagery of nature alongside images also taken from nature of death and destruction and pain and suffering and cruelty. And in fact, what he's doing is he's making an argument against God's existence by relying on what's known as the problem of natural evil. That is, it's incompatible to think that the world that we live in, that is filled full of bad designs and flaws and cruelty and pain and suffering and death and destruction, could be the work of a God who is all-powerful, all-knowing, and all-good. Now, anybody who makes the design argument has to respond to this legitimate complaint on the part of skeptics and atheists. And the good news is that Christian theologians, philosophers, and lately scientists have wrestled with this issue over the last several centuries and have come up with really very good responses to the problem of natural evil. I don't have time to get into a full discussion of this, but what I'd like to do is highlight two of those reasons why we see so-called bad designs in nature.
Now, whilst I can understand that all of us have work to get on with and everyday things to get to, as well as that you say you will quickly mention 2 points, yet already by stating that you don't have the time to get into a full discussion on this, you are giving me 2 impressions. A, that you're not interested or enthusiastic about going into detail. This I find oddly surprising, considering the very name of your channel and its apparent goals. I find it odd when the religious who believe it's a matter of eternal life of luxury or torture tell me they lack time, when a person belonging to any number of fandoms would rather happily spend hours discussing the lore of whichever world they enjoy. Then there's B, that you're not at all interested in hearing the counter-complaints to your critiques. Yet I am here for discussion, and whether or not you are interested in what I have to say on why your 2 points you wish to make do not deal with the actual issue, I hope that there are other Christians with a little more spirit in them. Pardon the pun. With that, we may as well begin with your first critique.
First of all, I think it's important to note that many times what we think to be bad designs in nature actually turn out to be good designs when we learn more about these systems. And the second point I want to make is this, is that there are very good reasons why things are the way they are in nature. Let's take earthquakes as an example. Clearly, earthquakes cause death and destruction. Yet earthquakes are an outworking of tectonic activity, and if we didn't have tectonic activity, there would be no life on the planet. Tectonic activity is responsible for the continents, and the continents have created environments not only on the land, but in the oceans as well for advanced life to live, in fact to thrive. Tectonic activity is responsible for cycling nutrients that makes life possible on this planet for several billion years. Tectonic activity is also responsible for the silicate carbonate cycle. This cycle is a thermostat that that regulates the Earth's temperature within a regime that makes, again, advanced life possible. If you want life on a planet, you have to have tectonic activity. No tectonic activity, no life. To have a planet without earthquakes would be to have a planet without life.
Now, whilst he claims to have made both points, there has only really been one. Both of his claims being linked, yet he does give an actual second point afterwards. But first let's deal with this one. So in dealing with what has been stated here, I think we must use the premise of a designer. Now, as I think we can all agree, production lines for any number of things such as food, electronics, clothing, etc. all serve the human race an important function. However, let's take a step back into 18th century factories, where production lines were in the first major swing. Machines on clothing lines were particularly hazardous to the workers, especially child labourers, who were often sent to pick loose fabric from the machines. The problem was that this often resulted in injury, loss of members, or even limbs and life, as body parts got caught up in the machinery. So what happened? Well, firstly, we got the children out of the factories by laws, but also the machines in their design were improved. But could we really do that to the basis of tectonics? Well, why not? We are discussing the ability of an all-powerful God here, are we not? You see, earthquakes normally occur where two plates running parallel to one another snag, gradually building up force which is then suddenly released in rapid motion of kinetic energy. The solution? Why not simply surround the plates with a softer material, such as clay, acting like a natural lubricant to the motion? God could even invent a new cycle, the clay cycle, where all clay by motion of force for some reason or another heads to the rim of the plate. What's more is that I thought of this within 2 minutes of hearing your point, making for one of my fastest comments to date. Also, there are some other things that interest me. You talk about the formation of land through plates, and the processes of billions of years, when the Bible accounts for a wholly different story. I know that you refer to yourself as an old earth creationist, yet fail to see how you can hold both views at once without the mental duct tape of the mind, which is cognitive dissonance. So what's your next point?
And it's important to note along these lines that a recent study done by 2 engineers published in Nature demonstrates that over 83% of the deaths that result from earthquakes in the last 3 decades has been directly attributable to government corruption. That is, it's due to moral failing on the part of humanity, not due to the nature of the world that we live in. There are very good answers to the problem of natural evil. And if you want to know how we at Reasons to Believe have responded to this issue,
pause there before you plug yourself, purely because you failed to give the link to the video you were responding to, and I had to go hunt for it myself. Now, I'm going to contest that not only does the point you have just made fail to hold any ground in counter-argument, but is in fact sign of the opposite of what you have just contended. That it shows an even worse system of action. The reason for this is very simple. Those who die as a result of natural disasters due to corruption are not normally the ones who die in the original incident, but following due to lack of medical help, water, etc. There are cases other than this, e.g. poor structural maintenance or design due to poor governmental or corporate standard. Yet what's the important thing is that it's not the rich or the powerful that suffer from this the most, the corrupt as you will. It's the lower classes, the ethnic minorities, the lost and forgotten who suffer from this. What this means is, not only does your God set out to hurt, kill, or mentally scar people maliciously, yet he targets mostly the people who have done nothing wrong, as the rich can pay for aid and travel, whilst the rest of the people cannot. Does that seem like a fair system of moral trial, where those who have wronged most get off lightly, and the innocent pay the highest price out of their very flesh, lives, and their loved ones? Please, take all the time you need to reassess that argument. This is Essence of Thought. Out.